2 years ago, the mid-engine C8 Corvette debuted with exotic looks and supercar-beating aspirations. And while the base vet is good, we've really been waiting for what's next, and now that's here, the 2023 Corvette Z06, which Chevrolet aims to put the world on notice. So we're here at the 2022 Chicago Auto Show with this. All right, let's start at the back of the car, rather the mid, because that's where the engine is now, and this is what's going to define the Z06, and that's the new LT6 V8. It has more camshafts, a flatter crankshaft, and less displacement than the base 6.2 liter. It's a 5.5 liter V8 that makes 670 horsepower, and Chevrolet says that is the most powerful naturally aspirated V8 in production. It's 175 horsepower more than the base V8. And compared to the old Z06, it has less displacement, no supercharger, and it makes more power. Let me reiterate, less displacement, no supercharger, and more power. Wow. To simplify, this is mostly accomplished through engine speed and airflow. The engine reaches a maximum 8,600 RPM and reportedly revs more quickly than previous Corvette V8s. Now, and that's thanks to lower inertia rotating assembly, including that lower weight flat plane crankshaft, as well as titanium connecting rods and forged aluminum pistons. So the LT6 uses 4 camshafts, 2 in each cylinder head, versus the single camshaft of the LT2 and 4 valves per cylinder versus the base vet's 2 valves per cylinder. Now this dual overhead cam configuration is highly notable because with the exception of the Corvette ZR1 from the 1990s, this just isn't a configuration used in Corvette V8s. Now there's a lot more going on here, but the LT6 sucks in a whole lot of air through an active intake manifold with twin 87mm throttle bodies, and that's compared with the LT2 that just has a single 87mm throttle body. Horsepower is up versus the old Z06, but torque is down quite a lot. This engine makes 460 pounds-feet of torque at 6,300 RPM versus the LT4's 650 pounds-feet of torque at 3,600 RPM. But engine speed and gearing might have something to say about how that affects acceleration. The new Z06 has that 8,600 RPM red line, and it also has the 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission with a new final drive ratio, 556 to 1, which is up from the Z51's 5.2 to 1. All right, so where does this all lead up to? And that's to a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of claimed 2.6 seconds, which at this point with only rear-wheel drive seems to be defying physics. But that's beating the base vet's 2.9 second time to 60 and the former Z06's 2.95 second time to 60 miles an hour. So the engine, yes, a huge part of this car. It's very distinctive, but that's of course not where they stopped. The front styling has larger air intakes, and as we come along the side, it has wider fenders, front and rear, as well as wider tires, front and rear. The side panel intake is also larger for improved cooling, and the wider tires, 345 millimeters in the back. Now that's up from 305 of the base vet, and it's also a 13-inch wide rear wheel. That's up 2 inches from the base vet. Coming back around a little farther, the exhaust exits out the middle instead of outboard like the base vet. And now this is going to be a defining characteristics of the car, and that's how it sounds. The flat plane crank with the associated firing order that comes with it, it's going to sound like a high revving exotic car. And in development, Chevrolet actually found that they didn't perhaps like the way it sounded on the inside versus the outside, so these exhaust finishers are actually done in a way that's kind of like a reverse trumpet that sends that sound back to the cabin. And that's a really cool way to solve that problem, because most will just augment the engine sound through electronics, but they found a way to increase that experience naturally. The Z06 also has unique suspension tuning and standard magnetic selective ride control, larger brake rotors, 6 versus 4 piston brake calipers, and beyond the standard Z06, you have the Z07 track package. Now this package has been around for a few generations, but on the C8Z, that means carbon ceramic brakes, carbon fiber ground effects, carbon fiber wing, and optional carbon fiber wheels that reduce unsprung weight. The tires on the Z07 package are Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, which are borderline racing tires. And note that the claimed 0 to 60 mile an hour time of 2.6 seconds only comes with the Z07 package. We miss naturally aspirated engines in certain applications. The norm is definitely turbocharging now in other vehicles, so we're interested to drive the Z06 and also see, are we going to miss that low-end torque that's just been a staple of the Corvette for years? And we'll have to find that out when we drive it closer to when it enters production in summer of 2022.